On today's Mega News, we are currently about halfway through the 35th anniversary for the Mega Man franchise, but apparently now is the time that they are finally beginning to celebrate it, with a new key art to talk about, as well as a host of updates from Kotobukiya on their line of Mega Man model kits. Let's rock! Welcome to your Mega News for May 10th, 2023. Coming to you from the ShadowRockZX YouTube channel and the MMNetwork.com. For once, we are not going all in on Battle Network today. Instead, we are discussing the franchise as a whole, as if we didn't already discuss the future enough last video. So technically, the Mega Man 35th anniversary already began back in December of last year, because December 17th is Mega Man's birthday. However, back then, all we really got was a rather unimpressive logo, one collaboration announced, and that was pretty much it. And the only game to celebrate the anniversary is, of course, Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. But according to Masakazu Uguchi himself, he states in the interview that we covered in the last video that the 35th anniversary had nothing to do with Battle Network Legacy Collection as far as the plans to develop it. It was more like a happy accident. Now that Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection is out the door, everyone is playing it now, it seems now Capcom has finally decided to go further with their Mega Man 35th anniversary celebrations, as they just revealed a new key art featuring all the Mega Men. I'm just kidding, not all of them. You see, unlike the 30th anniversary artwork that we got, it looks like this time around, the ZX protagonist, as well as Over One from Rockman Crossover, was not invited. And really, there's no definitive answer as to why that is. We do know that ZX has been shafted forever. It didn't sell very well back in their original debut on the DS. More recently, when ZX was finally introduced in Rockman X Dive, they only got two characters in Ale and Pandora, and a couple of alts here and there, but that's it. No Prometheus, no Vent, no Gray and Ash. Only Ale and Pandora exists apparently. And now that Dive is dying, there's no hope that that's gonna get fixed. There is also the fact that the Mega Man Zero ZX Legacy Collection, while I suppose it did well enough for what it was trying to do, it feels like it just came and went. It didn't exactly blow up the sales charts like Battle Network has lately. Us fans just played the game and moved on with our lives, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you can't deny that Battle Network Legacy Collection has been in the public conscious for a lot longer already, and to be fair, a lot of that has to do with the fact that they are RPGs that take a long time to complete. But you do have Capcom putting in more effort to promote the collection than any other previous Legacy Collection, which did help BN Legacy Collection to sell 1 million copies between both volumes already. Zero ZX certainly didn't get an announcement like that. In fact, we pretty much had to figure out what the sales look like on our own. They didn't really talk about it in their financial reports. When a company does not talk about a game in their financial reports, it usually means that game didn't do well enough for them to want to show that off to the investors. Just as a recap, they said they were happy with 11 sales, the X Legacy Collection sales, and of course they are ecstatic about the Battle Network sales because they've already made an announcement about that. Zero ZX is just that one outlier that's just like, it probably did okay in all honesty, but okay is not really something to celebrate. And that's just my personal take on why ZX is not featured in this 35th anniversary artwork. The ZX series initially came out in a time when people were just sick and tired of Mega Man. It was getting to a point where they were no longer keeping up with the yearly sequels coming out and all these new series popping up. Mega Man Burnout was at an all-time high in that late 2000s era. ZX was an unfortunate victim of that time period, as a lot of people passed on the series at first, and unfortunately it looks like even the Zero ZX Legacy Collection hasn't done a whole lot to help the series recover from that. Don't get me wrong though, I do love the ZX series. In fact, I prefer it over the Zero series. Again, this is just my take on why ZX is in this position where it's not even being acknowledged for a anniversary. As for Rockman Crossover, it's Rockman Crossover. I think it should be fairly obvious why Over One is no longer there. Does it suck that they're missing from the artwork? Yeah, absolutely. But maybe there is a deeper reason why they are focusing on Mega Man Classic, X, Battle Network, Star Force, Legends, and Zero specifically. And to explore that, I think we better take a closer look at the artwork itself and examine the designs on display here, because the lineup is rather interesting. So with the artwork, there appear to be two ongoing themes going on here. The first theme is just using the most current design for the Mega Man in question. That applies to Mega Man Classic, which is definitely based on his Mega Man 11 design. You have Mega Man EXE, whose helmet is a bit more reminiscent of the Cross Fusion form with the rims and fins, or maybe more accurately, it's reminiscent of his Operate Shooting Star artwork, which technically is the latest Battle Network game besides the Legacy Collection itself. Specifically, I'm talking about the fact that the rims are a bit more pointy at the back, kind of like Cross Fusion or OSS. So you could say this is the most current form of EXE. Even Mega Man X himself is using his X8 armor, with a few subtle differences here and there. Now, it should be said that this anniversary artwork was designed by Hideki Ishikawa, and during the production of this artwork, Ishikawa says that he was directly asked by Capcom themselves to draw X using his X8 design as the base. Going off of that logic, it could be assumed that all the forms that the Mega Men take on in this artwork was not merely a creative liberty taken on behalf of the artist, but rather a conscious decision by Capcom themselves. That ties into our second theme during this artwork, and that applies to Star Force and Mega Man Volnut. You see, Volnut here is outfitted in his Legends 1 armor, as opposed to Legends 2, which would have been his more recent design, counting the Legends 3 project. Meanwhile, Geo is depicted in his Star Force 1 and 2 design, with Omegasis on his arm as the full head instead of a more traditional looking Buster in Star Force 3. It should be noted that Geo was also depicted this way in Rockman X Dive more recently. No Star Force 3 Mega Man to be seen. And that brings me to, indeed, the second theme of this artwork, and that is using the most iconic design for that specific Mega Man. If not iconic, then definitely the most unique design for that Mega Man. The design that sets them apart from all the others. Now, with Volnut, yeah, you could definitely say the Legends 1 armor is the one people think of most when they see him. After all, it's the design they've been using the most throughout all the crossovers and anything, except for a couple of occasions where they did use the Legends 2 armor. Even in Dive, it's the Legends 1 armor. Then you have Geo. He's an interesting case because a lot of people, myself included, really like that Star Force 3 design for him, where they toned down the Omegasis part and just gave him a somewhat normal looking Buster that brings him more in line with the rest of the Mega Man. It looked pretty dang sick. But here's the thing, Star Force as a concept is a pretty weird series about humans fusing with aliens Henshin style, and I do believe Geo's Star Force 1 and 2 design reflects that best. You're definitely not going to find many Mega Men, if at all, with a beast on his arm, as his Mega Buster nonetheless. So if anything, I gotta appreciate Capcom really leaning in on that unique design for Geo with the more recent outings like this artwork and Dive. The Star Force 3 design was a definite apology to the people who wanted a more traditional looking Mega Man. But it looks like modern era Capcom, they're like, nah, screw that man, Geo is Geo, and we love him the way he is. And with that, we have arrived at the $1 million question. Why? Why are all these Mega Men depicted the way that they are? Why was it a conscious decision to use X8X? Because remember, even the Legacy Collection for the X series used the more classic X design, which is understandable because it's a retro collection. But the X8 version of X, we haven't seen him in a hot minute, in a very, very long time. So the question is, why now? Or does it mean absolutely nothing, as usual? Well, I could go one of three directions about this. I could say, oh my god, X9 confirmed! Or I could be truthful and tell you guys that although I have heard many things, seen many things about what the future of the Mega Man franchise could look like, I have not heard or seen a single thing telling me that X9 is even remotely in development right now. That's just being transparent. I really don't know if there is an X9 or not. I have not heard anything about it. In fact, I've heard things to the contrary of that. So suffice to say, seeing the X8X here is pretty interesting to me as well. After all, for all the things I have heard, the Battle Network Legacy Collection still came out of nowhere for me, so really anything is possible. The third direction I could go goes back to that big Capcom leak that happened in 2020, where we learned the existence of a little game called Rockman Tyson, which apparently has the biggest budget that the Mega Man franchise has ever seen. And apparently it's going to be in kind of multiplayer game, possibly 3D action oriented. Now when you tell me that it's going to be a multiplayer game, in my mind the best concept for a game like that would be a crossover between all of the series, all of the universes of the Mega Man franchise. You know, kind of like what Rockman X Dai was just trying to do. Although the execution wasn't exactly what we were looking for, but maybe if Rockman Tyson were to do a crossover themselves, they could take the concept even further. So my absolutely unhinged theory you should not take seriously in the slightest. Take this with a grain of salt, folks. But what if the designs that we're looking at here in the 35th anniversary artwork is the base roster for what could be Rockman Tyson? I mean, besides ZX and Over 1, you got the main representatives of each of the more popular series in this franchise. And if there is indeed a conscious decision to use the specific designs, like, you know, the current models of Mega, X, Battle Network, and Zero, but then you're using the more iconic designs of Geo and Volnut, the designs that the fans would recognize and connect with more, it almost makes too much sense that it may be using these specific designs for a multiplayer game of some sort. Now, would Capcom actually go out of their way and tease the game like this? After all, the 30th anniversary artwork also had all the Mega Men in it, but then nothing really came of that other than X Legacy Collection and 11. Well, I mean, anything is possible. They did, after all, announce a model kit for Mega Man 11 roll about a month or two before 11 was actually formally announced. So, you know, Capcom works in strange and mysterious ways. It really is hard to say what the future of the franchise is even going to look like. Does the specific call out for a X8X be depicted here actually hint at a future X9? Are we going to get a Battle Network sequel instead because now the Legacy Collection for Battle Network has sold gangbusters? Or are we just going to get another Mega Man Classic sequel as always? What's next, Mega Man 12? I suppose only time will truly tell, but hopefully we do hear about Rockman Tyson or whatever the heck else they got up their sleeves this year, before the 35th anniversary actually comes to an end. Now that they put out this epic artwork and everything, I think the ball's in Capcom's court now. You can't be teasing this stuff without something to show for it. I know you got the Legacy Collection out already, but come on, give us a little bit more. Besides, the Battle Network Legacy Collection is out the door by now. So we find ourselves once again in that period of just waiting to see what the next big thing may be. In the meantime, at least, we do know this key art coincides with some merchandise that's going to be on the Animate website starting from July 1st. You can find acrylic stands for the individual Mega Men depicted in the artwork, badges, tapestries, stickers, whatever the heck you may find. There's a lot of different kind of stuff on that website. So I will leave a link in the description below so you can take a look at all the merchandise yourself. In other news, model kits, they're everywhere. Kotobukiya has been pumping these out left and right lately, which includes the latest Mega Man X armor model kit, which is Blade Armor X. He is out now as we speak, so you can go ahead and pick him up if you are an X6 fan. I think it's a cool armor regardless. But the question becomes, what's next for Kotobukiya? Well, thankfully, they just hosted a Rockman Plastic Model Talk Live, hosted by Kotobukiya's model kit planner and the voice actor for Zero and Proto Man. Kicking things off, they revealed the Second Armor X Double Charge Shot version. I gotta stop right there and be like, alright, what the heck guys? The initial Second Armor X model kit did not come with a double charge shot. And that's like the whole gimmick of the armor. You mean to tell me I gotta buy the model kit again just to have that feature that should have been there to begin with? Why yes, you have to. But anyways, this double charge shot version comes with the effect parts for the swirling peak energy shot, which can be moved around for a bit more variety. It also includes the effect part for Shurioken. Otherwise, it's just second armor X again, but with some extra effect part. Alright, I guess. But thankfully, things get a lot more exciting with the reveal of the full color version of the Mega Man 11 Mega Man model kit. And I gotta say, looking at the full package here, it definitely looks like an upgrade from the previous Mega Man model kit that they put out in the past. He looks a lot more sleek, cooler, and this time they paid special attention to the wrist and chest articulation. Mega Man 11 version Mega Man also comes with a head part without the helmet, so you can rock that helmetless Mega Man all you want. In addition, we finally got a release date for him, which is October 2023, which funnily enough, this October marks the 5th anniversary of Mega Man 11, the game. God dang, it's already been 5 years. No wonder we're spending 20 minutes of video just speculating what the next big game is going to be. Moving on to more X-Series news, we got to see the Axel model kit in a more completed state this time. Not in full color, but he's more than just a statue now. The details look exquisite. He's got the twin pistols, which I definitely missed from his Rockman X Dive incarnation. And overall, I think they nailed it. Now, these model kits, Mega Man 11 and Axel, were already announced, so let's get on to the new reveal, shall we? And we're starting things off with my favorite X armor of all time. That's right, they are making Falcon Armor X from Mega Man X5. It might feel a little bit redundant, at least for me, because Sentinel just came out with their own Falcon Armor X Realbot, and I do own that myself. However, there is some value to having a Falcon armor that matches original design, because after all, the Realbot is some kind of highly stylized anime design, which doesn't really match up the rest of the X armors on my shelf. So again, it will be nice to just have more of these armors like Falcon armor, and all the others just be in their own one line of figures, the same proportion, the same stylized design that's based on the games, which is always a plus, so that they all fit and look nice together, snug on the shelf. Collecting dust as usual, but don't worry about that. Speaking of the other X armors, while they were revealing the Falcon armor, we also got a verbal mention of the Gaia, Shadow, and Glide armors for X while they were reading the live chat, which would imply that they are thinking about making those too, obviously. And like I just said, if we do get all those armors, that would complete the lineup from X1 to X7. Right now, we do have representation for X1 through X6. We are missing Gaia, Shadow, and then Glide for X7. Wouldn't it be so cool to have all the X in their own line without having to buy them from different manufacturers that have different proportions? I already said all this, but I just want to emphasize again, Kotobukiya is making my dreams come true right now. And here comes yet another new challenger. Maybe new is not the right word, but we got another recolor of an existing armor, and it's actually a pretty old armor by this point. We're getting third armor Triad Thunder edition. As with the Rising Fire variant for the fourth armor, it's basically that armor again, but with the accompanying effect part, so you can show off X using that special weapon. And the Triad Thunder effect part looks absolutely humongous, towering over all the other figures, that's for sure. Now, there is no word if we're going to get a vanilla X of Triad Thunder like what happened to Rising Fire, but I guess time will tell, and it might happen at some point. But hey, if they do make that vanilla X of Triad Thunder, you're already halfway to ShadowRock. Speaking of shadows, I suppose, the last big reveal that they had for this live stream was Black Zero. Yep, that makes our third variant for Zero in the Kotobukiya line. We had regular Zero, Nightmare Zero, and now Black Zero. Besides the color, the big addition with this model kit is that it's coming with a Rakuha effect piece Rakuha! And some optional parts so that you can recreate Fake Zero from X2. Because yes, there is a difference between Fake Zero and Black Zero. And yeah, that's pretty much the show. Unfortunately, they didn't reveal any more details on the previously announced Roll EXE model kit, but we'll probably hear more about that eventually. And I don't think the reveals are done just yet either, because there is a splash page that tells the viewers to stay tuned for the 30th Rockman X anniversary, and of course the 5th anniversary of the Kotobukiya line for the Rockman X series. So it sounds like they do indeed have more X related announcements to make in the future. Whether that be those missing X armors, or maybe something like the Navigator. A Sigma model kit would be pretty sick actually. So as always, it's important to note that Kotobukiya is always hearing out what the fans want in terms of new model kits, so definitely make your voice heard for anything that you want to see. And on that note, hey, what other model kits do you want to see in the future from Kotobukiya? Definitely let us know in the comments. My number one would be a Command Mission X model kit, because it's still the best X design ever and you guys need to make it happen. And I guess Ultimate Armor is still missing from the X Armor lineup, but again, it would be nice to have Ultimate Armor along with the rest of them in their same line of figures. With that said, I have gone on for way too long now, so we're going to go ahead and end off today's episode of Mega News. As always, stay tuned to ShadowRockZX for all things Mega Man, including if we ever do see anything come out of this 35th anniversary artwork. And of course, be sure to check out the mmnetwork.com for all sorts of articles on the Mega Man series and videos like this one. Until next time, rock on and have yourself a great time zone.